because I don't need to be some strong, massive, whatever guy to demonstrate my manliness.
Do you know the thing with that Manosphere thing as well? It's like a lot of it. It's like then they're preaching things that people should do, and this is where like it's a bit. Because they're preaching, go to the gym and build it and do all this stuff, but it's fueled by toxic masculinity underneath. That's what's wrong with it. And it's a lot of it is like you don't need to put somebody else down to make yourself feel better.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the King Space podcast, where we have authentic reason and unfiltered perspective about various topics. Today's topic is going to be about being a man. But before we divulge into it, I want to give a shout out to King Kev for sponsoring each and every episode with his drinks at Caribbean Spice. If you want to check it out, it's at 80 London Road. On today's episode, we've got two guests, Mr. Carl and Mr. Ayden himself. Okay? Let's get into it, guys. And the first thing I want to talk about is how do we find expressing our emotions as men? We'll start with Ayden.
How do I find express my emotions? I think you just get better with that as you get older, like with experience. I don't struggle with it anymore. Like I think being confident in who you are as a person makes it a lot easier to express your emotions. I think when you feel insecure and like, because sometimes I think a lot of guys, they feel like they can't get vulnerable because it's going to get used against them. In a lot of situations, it's like, you know, it's seen as a weak, or it's seen as it's a weakness, or it's, you know, it's something that you can be used against you. But I think the more confident you are in yourself, you don't really worry about that. Like, especially as a boxer, like, I don't worry about expressing my emotions to somebody, because if they say anything, I'll just bang you in your face. Like, you know, that's just how I think about it. I've never had to bang anyone in the face because you realise then when you do express your emotions, nobody actually wants to use it against you most of the time anyways. So you don't actually have to bang someone in the face. You know, I feel like as a kid, knowing that, or as teenagers, should I say, coming into adulthood, knowing that, it made me feel more confident doing so.
Right, okay. And so basically saying the older you've got, the more you've kind of not had an issue with expressing emotions. Because I struggled with expressing my emotions for a while. But as I got older as well, the same, I didn't really mind because I didn't care so much about what people say. It was more about how I felt. And as long as I was comfortable, it didn't really to me too much. How about yourself, young man?
For me, I think the point that Ayden makes is right. As you do get older, I mean, obviously, you know, a fair bit older than Ayden. But I think...
How much older are you specifically?
You want me to be specific? Hey, be careful, you might not make it.
That's true.
But yeah, it's a case of when I think about it, and I think back to being a kid and the generation that I grew, because I'm a 60s baby, and growing up, the one thing you did not do was show your emotions because it was seen as vulnerable. Very much so. But as I've got older and like now, I will openly say to members of my family, I love you, my kids, other people, close friends. And I have, and saying you love somebody is probably the most intimate thing you can say about your feelings about someone, because it's a very powerful word. But for me, it's really not an issue. But I think on a very personal level, one of the things that I've noticed about myself probably over the last 10 years is I spend a lot of time reflecting on my behaviours and how I feel. And if I feel, for example, that I have been unfair to someone and I feel that inside, and I've got that emotion, then I am more than happy to go back, be it an hour, a day, a week, a month, whatever, and I'll say, you know what? I've been thinking about how we were, and I will express to them genuinely how I feel about it. And if it's a case of I've done them wrong, I'll tell them I'm sorry, and I'm going to try to be a better man. You know, and that's where it comes from for me. You know, and I don't have any issue with that. You know, at all.
Because going back to what you said, coming back, being born in the 60s, expressing emotion was near enough unheard of. It's one of the main reasons I chose this topic as well, because I think as time progresses and the generations have progressed, like me and you know our daughters, they just say it as it is. You like it, you like Absolutely. It. If you don't, you don't. So do you feel like since then up until now, have you seen a massive change in?
Huge change. I mean, it's interesting because just recently I watched that Louis Theroux thing about the Manosphere.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about it, and I really don't understand this necessity to demonstrate this thing about how manly they are.
Yeah.
Because I just tend to think if you are confident in you, it's like I use this guy, right? Ayden and I, we've had our times when we've had challenges with each other.
Yeah.
There was one particular time when we were in the gym and we had a big fallout in the gym, training together. But the thing is, in certain respects, we're quite like each other, but in other respects, we're quite different. But the thing is that Ayden and I, we can look at things and we can say, you know what, I did you wrong there, and we're fine, and we move on from it, and we don't hold a grudge. But it's like this whole manosphere thing. When I think about it, it's to be fair, no disrespect to it, but it's probably more targeted at his age group more so than mine. I would think, or maybe not. I don't know. But the reality is, I feel for people in Ayden's age range because the messages that are coming out about how a man should be and expressing emotions and all that goes with that, it's almost like they're saying, because I'm not confident in myself, I have to be this way.
Yeah.
Like for me, on to touch on that, like if you have to constantly tell people how much of a man you are, you're not a man at all.
There you go. You said it far more succinct than I have.
Like I've never, and again, that to me comes down to like boxing gave me a lot of confidence in that like aspect of things because it's like I've never ever felt like I've had to prove I'm manly. Like I'll embarrass myself and I'll do like embarrassing things, whatever, and flamboyant things because I'm like, I don't care. If you really want to go man to man, we can go man to man. You know what I'm trying to say? But we don't need. I've never had to go there because you know what I'm trying to say. Like when you're confident in yourself as a man, you don't have to ever like prove how much of a man you are. You know when you see like my age group, like you'll see guys going out, trying to start fights, trying to splash money in the club, trying to do things to try and prove that. And it's like you're just like an idiot, especially like I would say I have the mental age of someone that's a bit older than me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like probably 30, 35, probably that's I'm not saying I don't do 24-year-old shit. I do obviously, but like, and so I look at a lot of people my age and I'm like, when I was 18, I probably looked like you. And now I'm looking at you, I think you're an idiot. You know? And you're 25 and you're the same age as me, but I'm looking at you like you're just daft. I even seen a guy earlier, this kind of relates to this, made me laugh. There was a kid in the car, and he must have been about my age, leaning all the way back, driving like this, speeding up the road. And I thought, you think he thinks it looks cool. Yeah, it doesn't. He doesn't like an idiot. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I think it goes back to all that stuff, like trying to show off and be a man. Just makes you look the opposite. You know what I'm trying to say? To people that are real men anyways, I think so.
Tell me, what is that? I mean, I can even see when you're driving on. You're like down here, like,
show off, innit?
All you ever see is like this top bit of the head and like the steering wheel. Like.
And it's always in like a car with big black cloud behind it as well. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't even service your car when you're trying to drive. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
you're more likely to cause an accident than do anything.
You know what I mean? It's always a battered up car. Always battered up. It's crazy.
I always try to be confident I'm always confident with my, especially when we go to Rumkeg on a Thursday. Like we're always there. As soon as we walk in, first thing Gary says, so what, you're not singing tonight? You know what I'm saying? And then we're on there and 3-4 songs later, sweat dripping down my face. You know what I mean?
I've seen those videos and there's one where you're doing. And I just sit there and laugh because you're just winding up your batty and acting like some flamboyant. I don't even know what you're doing, you know. But it just makes me laugh. You don't care, and that's the thing. That is the thing. Like you've already said, if you have to do things and speak things to demonstrate your manliness, you ain't a man because you should be confident in yourself. You know, it's like I do salsa. And people don't, when I say to people I do salsa, they kind of like, what? you know, and they don't, the first, because they see my personality a certain way, it surprises them.
Yeah.
But then when they see me in that environment, they go, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't need to be some strong, massive, whatever guy to demonstrate my manliness.
Yeah,
Do you know the thing with that manosphere thing as well? It's like a lot of it, it's like then they're preaching things that people should do. And this is where like it's a bit, because they're preaching go to the gym and build and do all this stuff, but it's fueled by toxic masculinity underneath. That's what's wrong with it. And it's a lot of it is like, you don't need to put somebody else down to make yourself feel better. You're putting down my man's a bitch or this girl's that, this rare tear. But if you have to talk badly about other people to make yourself look more manly, then you're an idiot. You're not a man. Like no one has to do that. You know what I'm trying to say? As a man, you should look after the village sort of thing. Like you should bring the other people up around you, not put my man down and you know what I'm trying to say.
So I feel like Brits, we're going to bring me to my next topic basically. So I feel like, especially when I see my sons now at the moment, they internalize a lot of things, and I'm trying to figure out whether that is through fear of judgment or fear of ridicule. So I would like both y'all perspective on that from a.
Go on. Go on. Choose your words carefully.
From an older person.
Wow. You could have said more mature.
Okay then, more mature.
Wow.
Yeah,
but I know what words you've used now. It's fine.
From a more mature gentleman and from a younger gentleman, do you think that these younger ones, they internalize their feelings? Do you think it's through fear of ridicule or fear of judgment? Or why is that? Because I'm trying to figure that out with my boys at the moment, especially the two younger ones. The older one, he don't do it as much anymore. But I'm trying to figure out in the older ones and trying to see how I can get it out of them and for them to be more vocal about how they're feeling. Because if I don't know how they're feeling, I can't help with whatever, situation it may be. So what's your view?
So my three kids, so as you know, Jason, I've got 17-year-old twins, nearly 18, boy and a girl, Thomas and Sophie. And then I've got my older daughter, Lucy, who's just 34. And it's interesting you say that, because Lucy at her age, 34, she's quite expressive. She's like me. She will say how she feels, and she's quite, level-headed about it. Interesting with Thomas and Sophie, because Sophie's quite quiet. Thomas used to be quite quiet. They've like flipped.
Yeah.
And Thomas now he's very articulate because of, he's into journalism and all that kind of stuff, politics and whatever. And he has no issue saying what he thinks. Whereas Sophie's she's more measured and thinks about it more and says how she feels after a period. So it might take her a couple of weeks to get there. But in terms of Thomas being a 17-year-old boy, which is probably the main thing, he is more expressive about how he feels. And he will say how he feels. Which
is funny because it used to be the opposite way around.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh,
we were speaking about this in the Nanans over there.
You've grown up with them. Yeah, so the thing is, they used to be totally the opposite way.
Right, okay.
Now, what's caused that, I don't know. But it's good that Thomas is as a boy, a 17-year-old, well, call him, he's a man, 17, 18 in June. It's good that he's prepared to express how he feels. And it is very thoughtful, and it's measured, but it's really open, and he chooses his words very, very well. And I like that. I want him to be like that, but I think Ayden's probably in a much better place than me because of his age to be able to speak on a wider perspective. But for me, the experience with my son is that it's good because I don't get this. I'm not going to tell you, because when he's got something to say, he will say it.
Okay. Okay.
Ayden? I think a lot of the problem now is the younger ones. I've got a younger brother, two younger brothers, 22 and nearly 22 and 13, 14. And with the 13, 14-year-old, like, not so much the 22-year-old, but the 13, 14-year-old, it's like his personality is based on TikTok. And it's like, if you don't see something online, don't be doing it in real life.
Yeah.
Like, that's, you know what I'm trying to say? Like they live their life backwards. Like I think I come from a generation where like we kind of like, we grew up with social media, but it wasn't how it was now.
No.
You know what I mean, like it was kind of, it got there, but we'd already experienced like phones without social media on them beforehand, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like when I'm 13, 14, my phone didn't have social media on it. So not like, might have had like Snapchat or something, but like Instagram, Facebook and all that, it weren't like it is now. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Things are going viral of mad stuff. It weren't really like that. It was more just pictures, basically. That's all it was, you know what I mean? So you didn't really get that same influence. But I feel like nowadays, it very much is like, if something isn't cool on social media, you can't do it in real life. It's like, for me, like, I'll see stuff on social media and I know it's a lot of bullshit. You know what I mean? Because I've lived outside of social media. I think the young ones now, they don't really live outside of social media. They don't. And so like, even I was speaking to a kid at my boxing gym, and his birthday on Valentine's is the same week. He's like 14 or something. And every year, yo man, you got a girl this year. Yeah, and I'm saying to him, yo, where's your girl? You need a girl for your birthday. Valentine's coming up. Every year I say this, like for last 2 years I've said this to him. Oh no, and then this year he mentioned, oh yeah, there's a girl I'm chatting to, and I'm like, so you spoke to her? You go to the same schools? Yeah, he spoke to her. Well, I messaged her on Snapchat, and I'm like, you're in the same class, brethren. Go say hello to her. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, oh, don't, that's a bit much, that's a bit. And I'm like, you're in the same class as a girl. You'll message her on Snapchat. You've been speaking on Snapchat, but you won't say hello to her in real life. You won't even say hello. I'm not even asking you to just ask her out. Just say hello, just make sure she knows you exist. Because right now, all she's seen is Snapchat profile or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
And I just don't understand that. I don't get it.
And that's why I think, and even this, to be fair, I've said like boxing got a lot of like, is where a lot of my confidence come from, because you're in the gym with all different diverse people, different ages, different backgrounds. You go to shows, you're fighting people of all different everything. So, you got to deal with a lot of different people. But that kid's had that as well, to be fair. And even he is still very much in his shell and hiding behind, the screen kind of thing. So, I don't know. It's tough. It is tough. I think the best thing to do with the younger generation, like saying if your son is trying to get them to express themselves more, is just put them in situations where they are forced to speak to people in real life.
So because of that, I do Friday boxing. We've not been a couple of weeks now because we've had other things doing. So I started that boxing thing just for one, me and them spending more time together, and for two, to get them out of watching these 60 seconds things. Because they'll sit there on the TV and it's just a 60-second thing after the other. Or they'll go up and go for a drink and it's just constantly on repeat. And I'm like, just turn it off. So I've been taking them to boxing to try and get them to, one, express themselves a little bit more. Two, obviously gain some confidence. You know what I mean? And three, obviously they're getting a fitness out of it. And I get to spend one-to-one time with them, because when you've got a few kids like I have, finding that one-to-one time with them is quite difficult. So by doing boxing on a Friday, it gives me that space to say, all right, then this is what we're going to do. Like, I think a few weeks ago, I was in there. It punched me so hard, Carl. I ended up on one knee. I had to say, remember, I'm your dad. Like, why you punching me so hard?
Training with Ayden, probably.
Do you know what I mean? So that's that. When you mentioned about finding things, that's what I'm finding, because even when he goes to football, he's not interacting with the crowd. And then when I'm asking him, he's like, and you just get that mumble and that answer. Well, not even an answer. It's just a noise.
I think what, for me, I think what's happened with the whole social media thing and all that kind of stuff, I think it's just like you've just been saying. It's given examples for how boys who are being influenced should behave, right? But more than anything, it's taking away that ability to just be a sociable, normal person.
Yeah.
Because you take away phones and social media and all the rest. If you took all that stuff away, how are they going to communicate with each other? They're just going to stand there like that.
They wouldn't.
And not do anything. And not.
We'd go extinct because no one would even date each other.
Well, exactly.
There wouldn't be no one.
They're not going to talk. There'd be nothing. Yeah. That, for me, is like the core of my life.
Yeah.
I love my alone time. But when I go out, like before I came here to meet you guys, it's like I've just been with a bunch of people who I care about. We've been having some fun, a bit of food, a bit of dancing and whatever. And that's what we've done.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I go to my salsa stuff on a Saturday and whatever, or wherever. But the thing is, it's all social. We're not all stood there on his phones. I mean, yeah, I check football results, but for the predominant part that I'm there, I'm just socialising, talking
I like
to people,
socialising.
and that's how it is. And I just don't get how they get through life and how it's going to impact life going forward. Because, like you just said, sounds like they're not going to communicate, you know?
Unless it's through Snapchat.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is like that.
I think a really good thing to do as well, like I did it when I was younger, is like get your kids into performing arts. But you kind of have to do that when they're young though.
Yeah, not
then they get
now.
older, they're like, I'm not going into that. But like I did dance, and like I used to, even like in all my school plays, I was rapping, and I was doing like, I was, you know what I mean? I was the lead and all in school plays and all that kind of stuff. And so
Why does that not surprise me?
of course, bro. What do you mean? For being a performer from young. But I think that, because I remember my friends being like, yo, you're not embarrassed? Like, I'm like, no. Why do I get like, I'm up dancing, singing, rapping, I'm doing my thing, and people are loving it. So why am I going to be embarrassed? You know what I mean? But I think people are afraid to do that. Like, even at Rum Keg, I'm not going to lie, busting the tunes at Rum Keg, and we have Miliko Patwa. You know, certain girl said to me, yo, you sound like you just land. I was like, yeah. Because I know my Patwa's soft. but the girls love it though. So I'm busting that, and I'm like, but certain man will watch that and they're free. I never even had like bad man coming, not bad man, but you know, you know what I'm saying? And I've come into Rum Keg and they're like, they want to do a tune, but they're afraid. And like, yo, I don't know how you're doing that, you know. I want to do a song, but yo, do it with me, come on, do it with me. You get me? And I'm like, sure, when you bust it one time and then you realise, yeah, them love it and people laugh on it, it just gives you the confidence to
just do it.
But again, you don't care.
I mean, I've never been yet, and I keep threatening to go, and you know, and whatever. But I'm gonna go soon. But the thing is, when I look at the again on social media, I look at the posts on social media. It's such a diverse age range. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me and especially with me and Ayden, I think because we're not shy to go up, and we're basically just under the mic. We'll be sat talking to your song's coming on next, and I think we draw a lot of people out. You know, so a lot of people that wouldn't have normally go up on there, whether male or female. I think we draw a lot of people out to say, right, we can actually do this, you know, because these guys are doing it. So I think that is a great space where I express myself a lot. Yeah. And I don't worry about it. When I'm on the mic, it's like there's nobody else in the room. It's like it's just me there. And I'm just doing my thing. And the next minute I'm hearing cheers and I'm like, oh, there's people here. You know, kind of thing. But for me, it's very calming. I quite like it. People say, oh, you love performing, you don't you? But I don't think it's so much love performing. It's just, that's just my natural personal, you know what I mean? That's my personality.
But again, you hear what we're talking about and you think about the whole Manosphere thing. Can you seriously imagine him saying to boys and young men, get up on a stage and do the kind of things that you guys are talking about, doing what I'm doing when I go salsa dancing and stuff like that? That ain't going to happen.
And do you know what's funny about this, actually? Do you know what's actually hilarious about that whole Manosphere thing? So H's TikTok, Harrison, whatever you want to call him, me and him was on an audition for a TV show back in, this must have been like 2020, I think it must have been. I was 19, how old am I now? I was 18 maybe. So yeah, must have been 2020. And that same year, I think I got scouted by Love Island. So I had an audition for that, and I got scouted by another show that I don't think ever got past the pilot or whatever. Like they did a pilot, never got whatever, yeah. Me and him was on the same audition. And you know, on that audition, it was the shyest one in the group. Super quiet, proper shy, like nerdy, skinny, nerdy kid. And then about 6 months later, he come out on social media all roided up, looking whatever, and he's chatting all this fart. And I said, I don't even recognize this guy. 6 months ago, he was like a little, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, so you know it's fake, and you can tell when you watch that as well, especially with him. Like you know it's fake. Like, and then he mentions like, oh, my mum would hate me if she seen me speaking the way I do about certain things and that. So they just do it for views, innit? But the negative thing about it, because it's the same with women as well. There's a lot of like toxic femininity out there, and the same, correct. You know what I mean? All the women online talking about, man's got to buy me this, otherwise he's not getting none. Them same gal are like giving up in backseat for, you know what I mean, like a chicken and chips. You know what I'm saying? So like, because I tell, it's serious. So like, But the thing is, because in real life it's not like that. You know, I see men talk about like, oh yeah, but girl demand so much. They don't. Like I've been with 10 out of 10s that I've wanted to go to a fancy restaurant and they've said, you go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? So like they're not like that in real life. But online you get a few people that will say certain things that blow up, and then because I've got 5 million views, now everybody thinks that's how the world is.
Be.
It's not. You know what I mean?
But you know, because I watched that program as well. The one thing I'd give him over it, because even when that Louis, I can never say his name, Louis Theroux.
Even that could be the wrong pronunciation, but hey, you know.
When he was trying to like have a jab at him, he's like, yeah, but I don't care what you say, I'm doing it for the money. He's open about it. You know, like when he was saying, oh, you're bashing women that are on, what's it called? OnlyFans and stuff like that. Yeah, I do it for the money.
But his girls on it.
Yeah. And he says, I do it for the money.
Yeah.
So call me a scammer, call me a whatever it is. I'm doing it for the money.
Yeah.
So he was open and honest about what he's doing. And I think it's working for him because he's found a way. It's definitely working for him because he's making a bag of money out of it. But he's expressing himself. Because maybe off camera, he might be a whole different person.
Probably.
He might be that shy person that you met in 2020. But once he knows that camera's on...
Yeah, but he did get slapped down by his mother verbally, didn't he? His mum did put him in his place, which was quite funny.
The one for me is when he made Piers Morgan walk off his own show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Piers Morgan's a whole... We could have a whole episode of your thing here about talking about Piers Morgan. Let's not do that one.
Yeah. So getting back to the whole thing what we're talking about, like, do you feel you have the space and confidence to freely open up? So like for us, we go to the barbershop on a Friday and we freely open up and we say whatever it is that we're going through or what we've got in store coming. Do you feel like you've got that space and confidence to freely do that outside of the barbershop and thing? Like for you, well, and I know you do, but...
Yeah, I mean, you're aware of the group of guys that I grew up with anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 62 this year.
Damn.
There you go. Remember, you've got a long way to go to get there, young man. But here's the thing, you see, it's like I've known quite a lot of those guys being 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're still mates now.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah, we all live our own lives and whatever, but we are in touch. We meet up regularly. And it's interesting you say, do we get the opportunity to talk about stuff? We do. And it's been particularly interesting in this last few weeks, probably last 6 to 8 weeks, because, you know, at the age that we're all at, we're all going through different things.
Yeah.
There's some in the group that's got blood pressure. There's some that's got diabetes. You know, and dare I say it, there's also the advent of prostate cancer has risen its head. Now, one of the guys didn't feel able to talk about it. And we all knew that because he was absent, we all knew something was going off.
Right.
So 2 or 3 of us got together and got chatting, and the second one that has got a diagnosis or an issue in that area, towards that area, what he's done, he said, I need to speak to this guy, because the second one's really quite open about it. He's got no issues talking about this stuff. And he said, I need to go and talk to him. And he went off and spoke to the first one about it. And then he's come out of his shell.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So because he kind of felt alone.
Yeah.
Whereas myself and the majority of the group, we're very open and very able to talk about anything. But what it did, by having 2 or 3 of us come together and say whatever and getting this thing going, we then discovered that there's other people in the group that's got little ailments that we knew nothing about, because there's one guy's been on blood pressure tablets for about 4 years. He just never said anything. There was another one, again, blood pressure. He'd been on something for 2 years. Another one just had to go on a monitor for blood pressure. Nobody said anything about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But going back to the beginning, do you think that's based upon fear, ridicule, or judgment?
No. I think it's just I just think it's just it's a little bit leaning towards that. I don't need to fill anybody else's with my troubles. You know?
Okay.
Because generationally, you know, when I think about my parents, And that's kind of how we were brought up. You don't bother anybody. You don't tell anybody. You don't worry. You don't trouble anybody else. Yeah, you don't trouble anybody with anything. You know what I mean? You just get on with it. You know. True. But we are a very, very close group, as you've seen. And from that perspective, we've all kind of come together and we're all doing the right things for each other. You know, I mean, there's a lot of fun. We absolutely tear each other to pieces. You know, some of the times we're together, it's rotted, guys. It's bad, the things we say to each other. But when somebody needs that help, we've shown again that we can do it. And we don't need to do that. Oh, I shouldn't trouble anybody with it. You know, we need to talk about it. But I don't know what it's like for you with your guys, whether it's more free. Because again, going back to the Manosphere thing, maybe it's saying don't say. I don't know.
I'll be honest. I don't have. Most of my friends are old, anyways, isn't it? So it's like it's a weird one for me.
I'm not sure they'd appreciate being called old.
Well, they're old, man. Like,
they're senior to you. They're not old.
They're old blood.
Sound like they're decrepit.
But like,
he's bad in it.
But yeah, so like people my age, I'll be honest, I don't have many people my age that I would talk to about a lot of things, to be honest. Like maybe 2 or 3, maybe. But most of them are older, and I think because they're older, I know everything I've been through, they've already been through it. So I don't feel any type of way, because more time, I don't even need to tell them. They'll just say to me, this is going on with you, innit? And they know.
They already know,
they can see the signs or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I don't even need to say anything. So that kind of, I feel like with Andrew and Kevin and like Dave and, you know what I mean? Like they're older, they've been through it. So, and it's like I said, you go in the barbershop, you go to Rumka, you go to wherever, you know what I mean? I feel like I can talk on that. But I'll be honest, my age group, I don't really trust none of them, to be honest. Like I just feel like you lot are all a bit kind of, don't know, two-faced a little. Not everybody, but there's like a lot of people my age will just keep at arm's length. I'm like, I've seen the fuck of that.
You think they're immature?
Yeah. Like
you are quite old head on young shoulders.
Yeah, and like a lot of people my age, I feel like I don't think they mean to be, but they're just very selfish, and they don't realize that they're quite self-centered, and so then it makes it difficult trying to. You don't talk to someone like that because you talk about that person about your business. You know. They're gonna go to X, Y, Z, and
there's
chat.
no confidence.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's not really. There's a couple of people that I could say, I can talk to that person. And like my best friend Henry, even like me and him had a little dispute recently where I was asking for a favor and he didn't want to do it, and I'm like, all right then, cool, don't do it, but remember what I've done for you. And I just left it at that, and then he come back and says, you know what, you're right, I apologize, I was being short-minded. And I said, so I know I can depend on him, because when I call him out, and same way, if he called me out for something, I know I'd check myself as well, because I've done, you know what I'm saying, we've done that before. So I have them kind of relationships, but most people, I just think, nah, you're too, cause like I said, they're quite self-centered at my age, I think.
But you know when like when you say that, especially having kids myself, and I don't know if Carl feels the same way. When you say that, you feel like you can't talk to them. So what happens in generation to come if everybody's feeling like how Ayden's feeling, where I'm not going to talk to him because fear of ridicule, or, you know, he's too immature, or he's going to go and tell the other person. Okay, then, so what happens when y'all get to our age? Is nobody going to talk?
But do you not think, though, that the generational cycle will change things, though? Because ultimately, in my head, how I see it, is that there will come a point when people of Ayden's age get older and they will start to notice that disconnect.
Yeah.
And I actually think that what will probably happen is that they'll kind of be forced down a certain track.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you compare the UK to America, for example, I mean, it's standard that people are out there in therapy. You know, it's not really standard here. But I do think that there's more people over here that do go into therapy for whatever their issues are.
They need it.
They need it, exactly.
Need it.
You know, but the reality is, you can't live a life, I don't think, where you're disconnected. It's like we were talking in the car. We talked about a village, or was it South of Sophia? You know, my memory's shot.
Yeah,
but we talked about a village. You know, it takes a village to bring a child up. You know, but in reality, we all need our own village.
Yeah, we do.
You know, we can't live in isolation.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those outlets, then what's going to happen? You can't, you know, if you internalize all that stuff, you're only going to go down a spiral.
Yeah.
And most people, I think, will ultimately, in my opinion anyway, I think they will recognize that they can't live like that. And then that cycle of starting to communicate will grow, because you can't live it through social media or whatever. You've got to talk to people.
Yeah. But you know when you mention about they're going to get to a time where they're going to be forced down the route of talking.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like we are there now with my age group and probably your age group and stuff like that, because of all the different men's club we've got now. Again, the barbershop, Chesterfield's got Andy's Man Club, and there's a few other clubs around. So I think that force that you're talking about when they get to, I think it's happening now. So maybe, again, them said the world is a cycle, innit? Everything I'm growing in a circle.
It does.
So I suppose it's gonna eventually come to that. But like I said, as a father and as a parent, it makes me often have these thoughts of what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? When my son wants to talk about something, is he not going to talk to his brother about it or his brethren about it because of what Ayden says? You're too immature, man. You're going to chat my business or whatever it is.
Right. So not wanting to. Well, I do want to. Splitting it out, I think we can talk about it from the perspective of men generally, but I also think from a cultural perspective, for black men, it's different again.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know whether you agree with this, but I think this idea of being strong and whatever and not talking about your feelings and all that, I think it at times within the black community, I think it's a lot stronger.
Yeah,
and it comes across that way.
Yeah.
And but what I like, as I said, the group of guys I've grown up with, I'm trying to think. I think there's a couple of mixed race guys in there, a couple of white guys in there, and all the rest of us are black. You know, and as a group, we all talk. You know, and we all look after each other as our own little village. You know, we all know we can pick up the phone and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So it works, I think. But generationally, I think that I always kind of thought myself, and I'm surprised this has happened, I always thought that this idea of groups not talking, be they whatever nationality or whatever heritage, and I always thought that in the black community that men spoke less, and I always thought that as time went on, that what would happen is it would become easier. So like for your age group, people would talk more, and going down the years, they would talk more and more and more and more openly. And I think what's happened is they have gone down the track that you've talked about, whereas social media is kind of influencing how they behave. And I think they've become generally more selfish. I really do, as opposed to becoming softer, which surprised me because I would have thought it would have gone the other way.
Yeah, I think like a big part of it is I think the older generation need to not necessarily engage more, because I don't think they're not engaging with the younger generation, but I do think like very heavily need to try and influence the younger ones. You know what I mean? Like I think, and it's getting harder because even like I don't think people do it on purpose, but like cost of living, for example, has gone up. So people have to work more, which means they see the kids less, which means the kids are getting influenced by social media more than their parents. And do you know what I'm trying to say? Like I remember growing up, my parents just pick me up every day from school, but Andre is not at that because my parents will work till 8 o'clock at night, so he gets a bus on by himself. You know what I'm trying to say? Like little things like that, or like my nana will pick me up from school, but that don't happen. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So like little things, and then like if I pick my brother up, he just goes upstairs, plays on his Xbox and just cut off from me even. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I think that's very important for the young generation to speak to the old generation, because I think a lot of it, like even I was speaking to my friend who, when I had my fitness coaching business, he was doing the same thing as a PT. I'm so good friends with him now, and it was funny when I became close with him, he kind of opened up about it because we was all speaking, and he was saying like, I used to look at you and think, why is he doing better than me? And he used to like have a bit of like, it was bad mind basically. It was like, why is he doing better than me? He's not better than him. And he had like this resentment against me, but I didn't even know about, do you get what I'm trying to say? And not until we started speaking about it, I started saying, oh, well, I do this way because X, Y, Z, and what like the mentors that I paid for taught me. And then he opened his eyes to like, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of it is like people feel insecure. They feel like they can't trust certain people or whatever. And the young generation is more and more like that. Like if you're just watching someone online, because that guy, I didn't really engage with him in real life like that. It would just say, yo, you're right, respect, and move on. I've never had a longer conversation. But then when we did, that conversation happened and it was like, oh, now we don't feel like a victim kind of, you know what I'm trying to say?
Something else.
It turns to something else where it could come to me and say, oh, can you give me a bit of advice on this or da-da-da-da. But at first it was like, just look at you and think, why is he doing better than me? And it's like, you're jealous, but even he knows like, he didn't like the fact that he was jealous. So then like, he's not going to speak to me and say, oh, ask me for help or, you know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like a lot of those things put up barriers between people. And then that's why now, like, the funny thing is, people get in the barbers a lot is your age group, and to be fair, I still do it, but that's because I think I hang around with older guys and stuff. But like the black man nod, when you say no black man, you say, like if I'm at a bus stop, but like, you know what used to like surprise me, especially I think I look blacker now as I've got older. Maybe actually, I don't know. Still had thick curly hair when I was younger. But I remember sitting on the bus at one time. This old Jamaican guy comes to me and was like, respect my youth. And I was thinking, why? I don't even know this guy. Why's this guy saying hello to me? There's all these other kids here all saying hello to me. You get me? But like, but they always speak about in the barbershop now, like my generation don't do that. They look at these young kids and
really strange.
They just get side-eyed and why am I me fuck? And you know what I mean? They want to beef. You get me? You get what I'm saying? So
it's funny you said, because I still do it.
Yeah.
I walk along the street, you know, and I'm one of them, headphones on, don't look at people, but I see a black guy.
Yeah,
it's true. And do you know when I do
and
it?
the thing is, and I do it to young guys at your age, and exactly what you're saying, they're looking at me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Why are
I
you
do it to
doing that?
people. I say black man, I say, yeah, man. And especially because I'll be in my car blasting that dancehall. So they know that I'm like, you know what I'm saying? You get me? But like, I've nodded to people and they look at me like, oh, this boy, you know, like, yo, it's honestly, they just faced it. The generation just faced it. Like,
Don't get it.
But like, staying on that topic, what you just said about obviously nodding to black man, do you feel like as black men, society gives us a hard time? Society in general. I mean, my views is I'm going to do me regardless, but not everybody's that confident as me to say I'm good. Because I can go in a room full of non-black people and I will still be me. But not everybody is the same. So from you, both of your perspective, do you feel like as black men, society gives us more of a hard time? Or what's your views on the topic?
Interesting, that one. I could talk about this for the next 4 days.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
So again, thinking about it from a generational perspective, it's changed over the years and it's kind of come full circle. So the challenges I would have faced in the 70s growing up, late 60s, early 70s growing up, it got softer. I knew. So I'll give you an example. So my very first car I got when I was 19, I got stopped by the police in the first week I had that car 5 times.
Wow.
And back then, instead of them checking your stuff on the system, checking all your shit on computers, it was all, stop it. Stop that look.
What?
You're doing that old man look at me again, you know. I know he's doing.
You know what? He's a little insecure now about it. He's in his feels about it. He's anxious about it now. Because I'm not ever doing that.
I just saw his eyes, I'm thinking he's doing it again. Anyway, I'll give you that one. So I got 5 slips to produce, and I remember going into Ecclesfield Police Station, and I threw the first one over. And he says, right, Mr. Scotland, thank you very much. Because you had to set your driving licence in and proof of address, and your insurance documents in. And I gave him the second one. And then I gave him the third one. And then I gave him the fourth. And then he says to me, this cop, he says, are you taking the fucking piss? And I said, no, I think you fucking lot are. And I threw the 5th one at him.
Yeah.
You know, and I think about that and the challenges that I had just because I bought my first car when I bought it was 5 months old. 5 months old. And see a black man driving a car like that.
Yeah.
It was just straight suspicion, right? And then things got easier because the way I look at it is it's people in my generation that made it easier for you guys.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it. Yeah. But then I look at it now, and it's almost like it's going the other way now. Again, back to how it was.
Yeah.
You know. Now, don't get me wrong. I've not had no trouble from anybody. Nobody troubles me at all. But I choose not to engage with you. But if somebody troubles me, I'm gonna trouble you. Yeah. And I will. Yeah. You know, I mean, you guys know me well enough. I'm gonna get up in your face if you start doing stuff with me. Yeah. But the way it is, I do think now it's becoming more difficult. And I'm waiting for that day when trouble does come to me. I expect it. I mean, like my boy Thomas, 17, I'd say to him all the time, you are a young black guy. That is what, if you go out with your mates, that is what is going to be seen. Yeah, yeah. And you cannot get away from that. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. Don't do anything that attracts any attention to you. And if you get stopped and you all get put, because he goes out with his mates every night, a couple of times a week, they're all white guys. But for me, I'm thinking he's the only black one there. And he's the one that's gonna get talked. That's what I tell him. Yeah. Now, some might say that that's not the right thing to do. But I have to prepare him because I just see it. Yeah. I just see it. You know. And luckily, he's a very astute young man. He's very, very clever, very grounded, and he gets it. And he's never once turned around to me and said, "Oh, Dad, you're overreacting," or whatever. Because I know some would. Some would. And said, you know.
But I also feel like it's sad that we have to prepare them like that. Like, I feel like, so when you were growing up, then say your first car, what would that have been? 85? It's 80 somewhere, maybe.
Yeah, early 80s.
It would have been then. So back then, I'd probably say, all right, then, let it go. But we live in a society now where if you walk in town and you're looking, there's 10 buggies go passing, you're looking 7 of them, they have some kind of mixed heritage, whether it's whatever it is. So for us to live in 2026 and still have to gear our kids up for when they go out there for this kind of thing, I think it's just sad. I think it's sad. That's what I feel like. It's sad. And like you said, you feel like it's going the other way now. Like,
but look what's going on in society. It's like there was that raise the flag thing yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I got on a train from home into Sheffield and my train was at 4 o'clock and I'm thinking, I'm going to hit Sheffield train station. I know that the protest was 11 till 3. Now, I know that by rights it should be dispersed, but I was prepared for whatever could come at me because I'm thinking, yeah, they'll have dispersed them from the area that they were supposed to be held in, but then they're going to disperse them and they're going to be all over the city centre where I am. Yeah. And I fully expected trouble yesterday, but I thought, I'm not having these people stop me from going about my business and doing what I want to do. They want to bring trouble to me, fine. I will stand up for myself.
Not everybody's got that about them, though. Some people literally stay in their yard.
I agree.
Because of that reason. And I'm not saying it's right to do. I just feel like we live in 2026, man. If you never seen a black man in your life, you'd have seen him on your TV or in your social media or somewhere. You know that we exist. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
I'm Jamaica is out of many one people, so
correct.
That racism thing is what I learned that here. I never knew nothing about that.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that story.
I was telling you that. Yeah, definitely. But from a younger perspective, Ayden, what's your take on it?
You know what? I'm a bit more. How do I say this? I think some of the young black boys need to take more accountability for themselves because I think. And I look at my brothers for this kind of stuff and my friends and whatever, like, you are going to get looked at through a certain lens just because of like certain things that have happened wherever. Don't matter. Like if I don't know, like if a white man has been troubled by a black guy one time, chances are it don't like black people no more. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So you have to be like, whereas like if you've been troubled by a white guy one time, it might not be the same, whatever, I don't know. But you have to be careful with how you step. But I feel like if you step correct, you're not going to get troubled. Like, I've never been, at least I don't feel like I've ever been denied opportunities or, limited in any way because of my background. I felt like that. Some people say, because you're light skinned and this and whatever, maybe light skin privilege, maybe, I don't know. But like, growing up, I got called every name under the sun, probably more than my darker skinned brother. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't think it was any different, you know what I mean? So I don't think my skin really it makes me a privilege in that. I think it's more the fact of how I move. Like even growing up, like I never drank, never smoked, never went to a party, never womanized, never did all these things to make sure, because I knew if I did those things, I'm getting labeled a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Because they already just see us like that anyways. So to make myself stand out, like, so maybe you do have to work a bit harder, but like that's only going to benefit you. You like, you complain that you have to work harder, but guess what? You know, you do that work, 99.9% of white people aren't doing that either. So you do that, and it sets you above everybody, not just black people. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that people miss. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, assume, oh, I've got to work harder. Yeah, you do, but guess what? It's going to set you up well. And then now you can, you know, like the whole village thing, you can ring up the ones around you. But people complain. Like, I just think people complain too much about that kind of stuff, I'll be honest.
It's interesting because I always remember something that your great-grandparents used to say to us when we were growing up, and that is, never come back in this house and say you have been denied an opportunity or something has gone against you or something's happened because of the colour of your skin. I'm not having it. If that's the first thing you go to, then you need to look at yourself. That's what they told us.
Because I also feel like that's a big thing as well. I feel like because the younger generation, whoever, because they've grown up hearing that in the background, automatically they go out there and they project that.
Correct.
And they're like, I'm not going to get that because I'm black. So because of that reason, they don't even try. You get what I'm saying? And then so then they grow up and say, no, I didn't get that because I was black. But you didn't try. You know what I mean? Or this sagging the trousers as well. I think that's a big thing, because you sag your trousers and people see you with your trousers sagging, automatically you're stereotyped. You're stereotyped.
What is that all about?
I don't know what it's about.
I mean, I know where it came from, and I know what it meant from where it came from. But why are they doing it?
I don't know.
Because if you know what it means, you would not do it.
And then the other thing as well, where everybody's wearing balaclavas. You've got a balaclava and you got your hoodie up, and then you walk in a place and people turn you away and you wonder why.
Exactly.
You've got a balaclava and a hood on your face and you're sagging your trousers. You know what I'm saying?
It's because I was black though.
No,
it's not. It's like a idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is what I'm trying to say. Like, because even like, I remember one time I was on a bus and I was going home from college, and there was a few guys, black guys, and some Asian guys, and obviously I'm sat in this group. There's white guys there as well, diverse white girls there, everything. It's diverse group. Like Hillsborough College, it was very diverse, you know what I'm saying? But we're on the bus home, and I remember some guys, they were picking on, I was with my brethren and his girlfriend, was this little white girl, and these Asian guys and the Arab guys are picking on, like, just like doing daft shit, like, you know, like throwing balls at paper at her and stuff. And I'm just thinking, and so she's like, yo, stop it. Like, you know my head in. And then they're piping up, like, starting on us. And I turn around, I'm like, yo, check yourselves. You get me? And I thought, and then they've like, one of them must have tried to pull a knife on me, but he didn't pull it out, but his bedroom was like, yo, chill. And I seen him reach for it. And I just thought, you guys are the reason we get looked at. We're on a bus full of white people, and you're trying to pull knife on one of your own, basically. Exactly. You're the reason that we're getting stereotyped.
Exactly.
And that, I felt, more than I didn't even feel afraid. I thought, if he pulls a knife, let him pull the knife, I'll just bust him in his head. But I felt embarrassed more than anything. I think I sat at the back of the bus, and I seen that guy years later on, and he was by himself now, wasn't with his friends, and he looked at me afraid. To say, because he knew, you know what I'm trying to say? And I've had that before, like, similar situation on the tram. Like, in school, loads of stuff used to happen to this, and 4 guys, again, they must have been like Arab or something, but it's, again, same thing, like, we're all ethnic minorities, you get what I'm saying? And they were looking whatever on the tram, so I'm looking at them like, look a bit dodgy, them lot. And then what were you looking at? And then come off the tram. Might stop anyway. So I said, come off the tram then. So then they've come off the tram, they've all squared or whatever. They've got back on the tram. They've jumped off the tram. The next stop, they've ran down the hill. I couldn't see because I had my hat on. So I can't see. They've ran down, one's punched me in my face. And then another little one, it was about 4 foot tall. He's lit me again. I just like kind of laughed like, what are you going to do? And then I seen them again at college, and they looked at me afraid. And I thought, like, you lot are the reason that we get stereotyped and looked at the way we're doing. Because look how you're acting in public, just acting a fool.
Exactly.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
Like, stuff like that, I just think it's embarrassing. Then when I see, like, that's why when I see someone who is it doesn't matter if they're black or brown or even if they're white guy, but they're from like a minority background, you know what I'm trying to say? They're from a poor background. Because I know like there's white guys that they're like wiggers, you know what I'm trying to say? So it don't even matter if you're, it's like, it's more, I think it's more of a class thing than anything else. And when I see them and they're doing well, I always try and support them more so, you know what I'm trying to say? Because it's like you're doing, there's probably from your background, there was 50 people doing wrong and you one are trying to do right. So you have to like, you know what I'm trying to say? Because, you know what I mean?
See, my take on it is, it's all about how you present yourself, innit? If you present yourself in the right and correct manner, and you've got the credentials and whatever it is, there's no reason for nobody to say no. And we live in a society now, like even with the football, like they're encouraging ethnic background to be referees and to be managers and to be stuff like that. So I don't feel like we're not getting opportunities because of the color of our skin. I feel like a lot of people are not getting opportunities, like you said, because you're acting like an idiot. Your attitude, how you carrying yourself. See, I grew up where you had to wear a belt. If you went to school and you didn't have a belt on, you're getting licked by the teacher. But we live in a way now, like I see my own sons do it. They don't wear belts. I buy them belts, but they don't wear them. So if you don't have your belt on, what do you think is going to happen to your trousers? Even in Jamaica now, I was watching a video in Jamaica the other day, and there must have been 10 guys on the video. None of them had a belt on, and I'm like, when I was growing up in Jamaica, that could never happen. It could never be a thing. So I don't feel necessarily we're not getting opportunities now because of the color of our skin, because I think things and times change now. You know, I feel like a lot of us who are not getting the opportunities, 1, because we're not trying, 2, because you're not presenting yourself,
correct,
and 3, because of your attitude. You get me? Because for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction, isn't it?
I'll give you an example, right, about attitude. Yeah? You think about when our daughters went to play football in Doncaster, right?
Perfect.
We did not know.
No.
It was a completely new team, completely new setup, and we did not know anybody.
No.
And look at the reaction that we got in a very short space of time from the other parents.
We became the main parents or the main girls there.
Well, yeah, there you go. You know, we were trusted very quickly to take their daughters all over the country.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite happily let that happen.
Yeah. And then when we went there, I think we were the only two.
Yeah.
Were there anybody else? No, they weren't.
No.
It was just us two.
Just us two.
And we were the life of the party. Like if we didn't turn up to the game, it's like, oh, y'all guys were missed last week, you know? Or y'all guys were missed at training. Because again, how we presented ourselves, hi, hello, how you doing? All kind of stuff like that. These young kids nowadays, they don't even say hello.
And then he got me wearing some crazy colours as well, you know. There's photos of me wearing some crazy colours as well. Yeah. That Aldi hat.
Like, you know, like, funny you said they don't even say hello. Like, I was just about to say that, like, because it is natural to, even like, obviously, I do marketing. So when you see, if a white man sees a white man, he'll instantly trust a white man more than if he sees a black man. Because it's more familiar to him. Just the same way if we see a black man, just a black man. If a Chinese woman sees another Chinese woman, you'll trust a Chinese woman more than if you see
people based on that.
Right, you're always gonna trust like what you're more familiar with.
Yeah, what you used to.
Exactly. But just that, like, I feel like a lot of people, because of that, like you just said, they won't even say hello. So now, if you're a young black boy and you see a white man doing something and you want to learn, go and say hello and just introduce and talk, because straight away that breaks down a barrier and it opens a door for opportunities now that you wouldn't get if you know what I'm saying? If all you do is try and talk to other black people because you feel comfortable talking to other black people, that's why you're not getting opportunities.
What's the worst that can happen if you go and say, can I just take...
Exactly.
Can I take benefit of your experience and knowledge? The worst that can happen is no.
Yeah, that's it. And okay, go again.
You just say, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we live in a white country. Most of the opportunities you're going to get are going to probably be presented by a white man, a rich white man somewhere who's inherited whatever, most probably. So you need to be able, confident enough to go and talk to them people. Because if all you're doing is talking to, you know, black guys on the block, all you're going to know is black man on the block.
That's the language you're going to know.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to go talk to the Asian man, go talk to the China woman, go talk to the white man, go everybody. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's how you learn. Everyone's different, not languages so to speak, but you know what I'm trying to say. You know how to learn how to speak their language, how they communicate, how they walk, how they talk, and how they do business and all them kind of things. You know what I mean?
So based upon all that, I feel like that's the reason we don't give ourselves as black men enough grace to be leaders in our community, in our surroundings, even to our children. Because like I look at a lot of black households now, and how them kids talk to their parents, it would have been unheard of in my time. Like,
Correct.
your parents would have been charged for murder, Bridget. If even imagine speaking to them like that. And I feel like it's all based on that. But what do you feel that gives us, as black community, as black men as well, that grace of to be able to be leaders? What do you feel? What do you feel?
Whew, crikey. That is, do you know what? That is such a difficult one to answer. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
And the reason I think it's so difficult to answer is because it's just got so many different parts to it. You know, and you can't limit it. I think the thing that gives us some of the grace to do it now, if I'm understanding what you're asking me correctly, is the mere fact that more of us are doing it for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I think about this guy here, his fitness training, marketing, content creating, blah, 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 blah.
Boxing.
Nobody
singing.
Don't forget the boxing.
Okay.
Don't forget the singing.
Okay.
Vibes Cartel 2.0, yeah.
The microphone champion, you know that.
But the thing is, he's doing it for himself.
Could be a model for
Oh, for God's sake. You know,
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's doing it for himself and nobody's given him anything.
Yeah.
And I think...
I won't say that. I've had a lot of help, but
No.
the reason I've had a lot of help is because,
Because you got up off your ass.
yeah, I've asked for it. And,
Yeah,
I put myself in the
exactly.
space
You've put
to
yourself
say,
in that
look,
position.
I'm trying to do this, can you help me?
Yeah,
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I mean. Yeah, understanding that, but you've had to be the one that stepped up first.
Yeah, but I just didn't want to
put
discredit
yourself-
because,
No,
like,
you're not.
you've helped me. Like, Jav helped me. I said Dave's helped
Yeah,
me. My friend,
yeah.
a lot of people have helped me.
No,
know what
but
I'm
you
trying to
were
say?
the catalyst.
Yeah.
You were the
made
one
the
that
move.
You
Yeah,
had to
without
make
you,
the
none
move.
of that
Yeah,
would
they
have
helped me
happened.
because they saw my ambition and my
Exactly.
drive
That's
and
it.
stuff.
That's
So
it.
you've got to have that.
And that is
initially.
the thing. But I think one of the problems is that within our community, within the black community, and it comes back to something we said earlier. I find that there's I don't like using the word jealousy. I'd rather use the word envy myself. It's the same thing, but a bit softer. There's a lot of envy in our community.
No, I think there is as well. I think there's a lot of entitlement. I feel like people just think they deserve stuff when it's like,
That as well.
go on, earn it,
I was
blood.
going to come on to that. But the thing is, people, it's like I look at other cultures and you can see that they want to help each other and set each other up and drive each other and push and whatever. In ours, it's like,
Yeah.
he's got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he worked for it.
Yeah.
I bet somebody gave it him. No, we worked for it. And it's that for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I just, it's like I've set up working for myself, doing my business.
Yeah.
You know, I've gone back to what I learned when I first left school.
Yeah.
And the reality is, you know, I'm doing it for myself. Nobody else could do it because I get to get the qualification. I had to go out there and do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it is.
Definitely.
So for me, I just think there's so many different bits to it, but they're just a couple.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we are.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel the same as well. And I encourage a lot of people, not just black people, but even white guys as well. Like, do it for yourself. Rather than do it for somebody else, do it for yourself. Because one, you're gonna be more encouraged to do it. I mean, two, you're gonna probably do it with more passion and more love. Because you know that if you don't do it that way, you're not gonna get the same in return. As opposed to, you know, if you have a job.
Yeah.
You get me? So yeah, I think that was a valid answer to that question. Definitely.
Just on that, it's like my pal Jamie. He comes from an engineering background. Because of COVID, you know, things ended, right? But he does handyman type work. But he comes and works with me in my area, plumbing and heating. But the point is, he's not afraid to learn how to do something else.
Yeah.
And he does it. And I always said to him, I think you can do it.
Yeah.
And he goes off and he does it.
Yeah.
You know, not everything.
Yeah,
You know, he stays within his lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I think he can do something, I show him how to do it. I say, right, yeah, crack on and do that.
That's it.
9 times out of 10, he does it.
That's it.
You know, and I
Great.
think fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Do you have any take on it, Ayden?
Repeat the question for me again, because we spoke a lot.
Do you feel we give ourselves as black men enough grace to be leaders?
No, I don't think we do, because I think a lot of time we do put ourselves in a box. And I think a lot of it comes down to confidence, I think, as well. Like a lot of time when I speak to people, they don't think like we all work for ourselves. they don't think that's not even a thing. Like when I first started my business, I remember a lot more people are doing it now, to be honest. But I remember when I first started like work for myself, and I was making good money at a young age, more than I'm making now. And like I was speaking to my friends, and they're like, they couldn't believe what I was doing. Like it's like, I've been to university, I've done this, I've done that. And they couldn't fathom where I got the confidence from to go out and do that and spend the money I was spending to learn certain things. You know what I'm saying? But I think you got to be more of a risk taker. Like Carl said, like everyone wants to be like kind of safe. Grace to be leaders. Explain what you mean to me. Explain what you mean a little bit.
Grace to be leaders. So based upon what you like what you've just said about not taking risk or watching what the other man's got, or maybe just looking deep within yourself and seeing what am I good at. You know what I'm saying? And taking that chance or making that initial investment.
See, I would put it a different way. I would say what can I aspire to be? Because what you've got is what you've got. But why would we not try and be better?
Exactly.
I think like me and Dave Campbell speak about this a lot. Like you've had Dave on already, like probably mentioned this, but like we speak about this all the time. Like, where's the black business owners in Sheffield in particular, that especially from Caribbean background, like to be fair, this is all across the country, to be honest. But people, especially from Caribbean backgrounds in this country, they're employing 10, 20, 30 people.
I've been saying that.
Fam, they don't exist. The African man's doing it, and even the African woman's doing it, and they've got the agencies with the nurses and all that kind of stuff, and they got schools. And I was speaking to a girl, her parents own like schools that own, I don't know what kind of like, it might be like alternative provisions and all that kind of stuff. Bag of them, and she's got all the Lipa siblings that all do something. You know what I'm saying? But they're from might be like Ghana or somewhere like that. You know what I mean? From the Caribbean community in particular, and I think that's again. Can we blame ourselves? I don't know, but we need to break that cycle of we're brought over to be workers, not to come over and start businesses. Whereas when like the Asian man have come over from India and they've come over to start business, to open a shop, to then open another shop. Whereas we brought over to be a nurse, to be a worker, to work in a factory. And so we've got that mindset of we are just factory fodder. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Was like we've got to break out of that.
Correct.
And it's like unless you're in entertainment, I mean Dave speaks about this a lot. Like unless you're in entertainment. It's like you're not an entrepreneur. Like it's like there was a video of a guy was saying, "Can you name some entrepreneurs or whatever?" Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, whatever. You seen it?
Name some black ones.
No.
Thinking
Stephen Bartlett. That's the only one they know, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? But like if you think about the entrepreneurs, like you got like your Jay-Z, your Kanye, and all like Diddy, like you don't want to mention, but like them kind of like your Skeptors, but they started in entertainment and then they become entrepreneurs. But there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of black guys that just start in business straight away and have the confidence to do that. You know what I mean? So I do think, but I think a lot of the time that comes down to education and feeling like you can do it. I think sometimes we think we need a bag of money or we need this or we need that, and it's like you don't. You can like whatever you're doing for somebody else in your job, like you can do that for yourself. Just learn the skills, learn the trade, go work for somebody else, learn the ins and outs of the business, ask questions. I feel like as black people, we don't even ask enough questions a lot of the time.
That's it.
Like go in your workplace, ask the boss questions, ask is there anything more I can be doing to be more of value? But it's like I think that comes down to maybe having too much pride a lot of the time. Like you have to kind of bend the knee to somebody else first in order to become a king. Do you get what I'm trying to later on? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like with me, I remember when I was like, I'm telling some family members this, like I was spending when I first started my first business at 18, 19, about £1,500 a month in mentors. So I spent like 30 grand in total across like 2-3 years or whatever. When I was telling my certain family members that nobody give them your money, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, but they're teaching me how to make more money so that by the time I'm 50, I'm not stuck earning whatever the wage is for that particular job. I've got the skills to pay the bills, literally. You know what I mean? Like you have to upskill yourself. But that requires you to then put your trust in somebody else and give them your money and give them time and listen to what they say. And a lot of the time, people don't really want to do that. They just want to, if I'm not getting paid, it's like even you will have experienced it where like, you might want to collab with somebody on something. And if there's no money involved, don't do it, don't even bother me. But you have to understand, you might have to like, there was and this is where I think the culture's a bit different in different spaces. Like I was listening to Specs.
Yeah.
And he was on he had the Filthy Fellas podcast or whatever. You've seen that before.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
And he was saying like he didn't get paid on that for 2 years. He never got a paycheck from that podcast for 2 years. But that podcast built his brand and now he's getting all these deals. You know what I'm saying? So like be willing to do something for nothing because it'll benefit you later on. A lot of people from my culture don't want to do that. If it's not for money in my pocket, don't bother me.
Yeah. We need to just do it unapologetically.
Correct.
And do what we're doing unapologetically. So we're on a wrap-up stage now. But just quickly from you guys, the last thing I want to just touch on before we finish, apology. Do you find that difficult to do?
No.
Or do you feel like it make you less of a man?
No.
Regardless of what it is, you have to apologize, whether to your woman, to your pitney, to your whoever.
Do you know what, like it's funny, like Carl mentioned this earlier when I was talking about do you feel like you can express your emotions with people? And he mentioned like telling people that because I probably skipped over this and he made me realize like I do struggle telling people I love them and like, but not necessarily but then he went on and said he'll reflect and come back and say, you know what, I was wrong there. I do that now a lot of the time. When I was younger, I never used to do that, and Carl will know this. I used to just think, bun them. If they don't like it, I fit them business. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I used to be like. But now I'm like, even if they've not prompted me, like as in you hurt my feelings, I know when something. Because I think to myself, do you know what? Looking back on that conversation, that situation, I didn't like my behavior there.
Yeah.
And I'll go back and I'll message them and say, you know what? And sometimes they don't even respond. I've had it where I've messaged someone years later and said, you know what? I was thinking about you the other day and I didn't like my behavior and I apologize and this and that and red. They never even got back to me, but at least I know I've done my part.
Done the right
I'm trying to say.
You've done the
So
right
now
thing.
as I get older, no, but I definitely feel like yeah, I think it's because in my household, best believe, don't nobody apologize to nobody for nothing. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's nothing. I cannot say to my parents they was wrong in a situation. They're never wrong. They're never wrong. You're wrong whole heap, but you're never wrong. You get what I'm
You're
saying?
wrong more than you're right.
All the time. And then when you try and call them out, but what about you though? What about what you did though? I'm like, but it's when I'm talking about me. You've done something to make me feel, but you don't want to apologize. So. But that's just like they're being quite stubborn, you know what I mean? And a bit like, say, not taking accountability for that. But they know because instead of like apologizing, my mum will like cook dinner. That's she's apology. She don't want to say it out loud. You get what I'm trying to say? So I know that they do feel so because I'll overhear my parents speaking and they'll say what I've said to them. But when I said when I said it to them, I'm in the wrong. But then I'll hear it saying to each other. I'm like, so you did agree, you just didn't want to admit to me. You know what I'm trying to say? So like, with that, I think I've definitely struggled. But as I've got older now, and I've been in a situation where I've been forced to apologize because it's like, if I don't reflect on myself here, I'm going to put myself in a box. You know what I'm trying to say? So I have to do this personal growth, you know what I mean?
Just on that. And you know this, I don't know, I think you might know this, but you do know this. And I have this saying that I live by. And that is, it's my words. It's your feelings. I am responsible for the language that I use when I speak to you.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for how you feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, not everybody will agree with that.
No.
I can tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways. Some of those will be quite nasty. And some of them will be quite nice and gentle and embracing and whatever and comforting. But I'm still telling you the same thing. But the thing is, you then decide internally how you feel about it. But I have to be responsible for how I deliver it. You know? And it's interesting listening to this guy when he talks about how he was at 18, 19 to now. Because I see the difference in him in those few years. You know? And he's far more measured with his language. And he can tell you the same thing and say it in such a different way. And I watch him with family. When we, on a Sunday when we have dinner, and he will say something at the table, and I can think back and go, and he'd have said it like that, and it would have been bun, gone. You know? Whereas now he says it, he sits back.
That's it.
And you can see he knows what he said.
That's it.
And you know, don't you? He knows. And you can see the other person, and they're not quite sure how to take it to start with, and then they're quite relaxed about it. But I know what he's done. I know what he's done.
I think before I didn't used to worry about like
No,
saying anything maliciously.
No.
I just say it and it's like, if you didn't like how I said it, that's your
Well, that's the thing. But that's maturity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because now you operate in a similar way to me. Because we are, even though we're quite different in age, we are quite alike. It was his mum that pointed it out to me. I never noticed it. We are quite alike, and he does in a very measured way.
Yeah.
Deliver. If he wants to be in your face, he'll say it.
Yeah.
But generally, he'll say it in a gentle, nice way. But it's the same message. And I just go,
Yeah.
That's it, man. That's
You have to, like I say, it just has to say accountability for like. Because
Correct.
before I used to say things, I just think, why are they getting mad? Like I said what I said and it's true. But now it's like, but I could have said it in a way that doesn't offend them.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like you don't have to always. You know what I mean?
no.
But well done, you.
Information for him.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you for that growth. And I hope others listening, your age group and even younger, will take something away from that.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of you as well, young man.
Proud of you too, fam.
You know what I mean? So thank you.
Become good friends, and I like it.
That's it. So thank you for taking time out your busy Sunday. I know it's Easter Sunday, family time, and you found time to come here.
No problem.
and,
Anytime.
You know, give me your time on here, and I really appreciate that. And I just want to tell you both I'm proud.
Yes,
Okay?
thank you.
And that's been another episode of the King Space podcast. King Space, the real space. Catch a convo, never a case.